Hey guys, Booligan here with Booligan Shooting Sports, taking a look at one of my newest project firearm builds. Before we get into this, we're going to talk a little history. Back in the 1980s, the DEA needed some sort of firearm that they could use to tactically clear out meth labs, coke labs, things like that. You see, labs like that had a lot of volatile and explosive fumes and chemicals and things like that, and they had a real concern that the muzzle flash of their standard Colt SMG, which was a 9mm full auto Colt AR-15 variant, that was going to cause these things to explode. Very real possibility. So they talked to Colt and they talked to KAC, who developed a very strange firearm pictured here. Told ya, it's a very strange firearm. Why it looks so weird is that whole front end was basically an integral suppressor, so it would eliminate the muzzle flash almost completely and most of the noise. But this being the wild times in the 1980s, they couldn't just have things sitting out the front. They didn't have like the railed handguards and things like that we're running now. So they put an M16 full handguard on it. They cut a notch for a sight in the middle there and put a special end cap on it. It was a weird gun, but one that I've always had a soft spot for. In fact, I built an airsoft version of one a couple of years ago. So when it came time for me to put together a new firearm build, I had this idea of what would it be like if the DEA and Colt and KAC continued to build something like that, something that was integrally suppressed, that had iron sights on it and still used a standard handguard. And I kind of came up with this idea. To build it, I started with a Freedom Ordnance FX9 pistol. Heard me right, this is a pistol. This isn't an SBR or anything like that. This is not a stock. This is a Shockwave Blade 2.0 brace. And we'll go over it briefly in this video, but it's actually going to have a full video. They'll be released as well today. So, but just starting at the back, again, you have that Shockwave 2.0 brace, which I like because you can adjust the length of it with no tools. Just a little bit of a stiff lever there. Up front, the gun came with it like an A1 style grip or an A2 style grip, with a little finger groove there. Hated it, didn't like it. So I swapped it out with a Magpul K grip. Tricky thing about these, you'll notice the back of that receiver is a little different. Very short, so you can't use anything with a back strap. Gotta have a back strapless grip. Magpul trigger guard, because the original trigger guard was very rattly. It was just kind of loose in there and it rattled around a bit. It comes with these South Korean like 33 round mags, but I'm feeding it with ETS fun sticks as well as Magpul 22 or Magpul 21 rounds, I believe. 21 round ones, mags, which go right to the bottom, like in line with the grip, so it's a little bit more compact. Up front, the FX9 originally comes with a free float M-lock and rail. That's kind of weird. It's got rail on the bottom, M-lock on the sides, handguard, and a standard muzzle device. The one that I had came with just a normal like birdcage style flash hider. So obviously this is where most of my work lied. I had to switch out the handguard assembly for a standard AR barrel nut, a Magpul MOE handguard with the top slotted out to fit a front sight. I had to add a front sight, which these barrels aren't pinned or anything like that. They're not drilled for pins, and you don't really have a lot of material space there to drill for pins. So I went with a grub screw attachment. So it's got 5 grub screws, the holes on either side. I drilled and tapped, and then on the bottom it's tapped for a screw as well. So this is not going anywhere. Then up front is where things got really interesting. Primarily because, I'm sure we're working on an empty firearm here. Primarily because you still have to have a handguard cap in place to hold the handguard in place, obviously. So you can't just, let me loosen this real quick to show you kind of what we have underneath. You have a little bit of barrel, some threads, and a handguard cap. So I had to have some way to hold this handguard cap down in place. So I actually went with a muzzle device that they currently put as standard on these FX9 pistols when you get them from like classic firearms. It's an over barrel design, and normally it's about 3 inches long. So it's designed to kind of sleeve over the barrel and then tighten it in place. And if you're using like standard, or if you're using a free float handguard, it looks like it's a suppressor on the end of the barrel. It doesn't suppress the flash, noise, recoil, nothing. Just kind of as a big thread protector. But what I did is I went ahead and I had it turned down to an appropriate size so that when it's screwed in place, you'll see it just holds down that handguard cap. Now this whole thing is very, very solid. It sort of has that integrally suppressed look, which I was going for. It's not actually integrally suppressed because obviously this isn't a suppressor, but it matches the look and feel of what I wanted. So now I've got this firearm that is very comfortable, very, very easy to point and shoot. It's compact. I mean, this thing is tiny. It's like 24 inches or so in total length. And it has compatibility with Glock pattern magazines. So magazines like this is like a $17 magazine. It's super cheap and holds like 30 something rounds. You can change out various components of these. A lot of this stuff is just AR compatible. Your bolt, your receivers are proprietary. One thing I don't like about this gun is the charging handle. It kind of just sticks out there a lot, and it's not big. It's actually kind of hard to get a good purchase on it. But it is not a standard AR charging handle, so you can't just swap this out with one of your choosing. I actually wanted to swap it out with a latchless charging handle that I like, and wasn't able to do that just because the size doesn't line up, which was a little disappointing, but kind of is what it is when you're dealing with something that isn't like an exact AR9 or anything like that. But overall, this project was fun and inexpensive. These base guns cost between like $500 and $600, and the rest of the parts were, you know, maybe another $100 or so, with the exception of the Blade 2.0, which the package that I got was I got it on special. It was about $75 shipped. And again, there'll be another video where we talk just about the brace and the comparison with the other version. So, but yeah, just a weird little project that I felt like putting together, inspired by the war on drugs from the 1980s. It's usually where my best ideas come from. So, stay tuned. There will be more videos of this where we take it out to the range and actually go out and get some range time with it. But in the meantime, hopefully you can use something like this as an inspiration for a weird project of your own. Thanks for watching.